and welcome to Sunday School. I'm Miss Darlena and I'm so glad that you could join us today. We've been learning a lot about the kings of Israel, and this week we're going to start talking a little bit more about the kings of Judah. But like the northern kings of Israel, the kings of Judah did not always love and obey God. The northern kings of Israel, as you learned a couple of weeks ago, were wicked, evil people, and they did not love and serve God. And God's judgment came on them, and they were captured by a foreign country. And when that happened, they had to leave their land, and they weren't able to go home again. And that, friends, is what we call exile. This was God's judgment on the northern kingdom of Israel. In the southern kingdom of Judah, they also had a lot of evil kings, but they had two kings that rose up that did what was right in God's sight. You can find these stories in the book of 2 Chronicles, chapters 29 through 35. Hezekiah was a king unlike his father, or his father's father before him. Hezekiah was more like one of his ancestors. You guys might remember his name. His name was David. Hezekiah taught the people how to worship God. And one of the ways he taught them how to worship God was he reminded them of things that his ancestor David had written. He taught them how to sing the Psalms all over again. And the people of Judah began to worship the one true God again. And all the days of Hezekiah, while he ruled, God blessed him, and there was peace in Israel. After Hezekiah died, his son Manasseh became king. Manasseh was not a good king. He was evil, and he set up all the old idols that Hezekiah had torn down. He taught the people to worship these false idols, and he told them to ignore God and not follow God's plan. He reigned for a long time. He reigned so long that the people forgot about God. And when he died, his son Ammon became king. Ammon was also an evil king, and he did not love and serve God. He did not teach the people to love and serve God. And when he died, his son Josiah became king. Josiah was only 8 years old when he became king. Can you imagine? He was 8 years old. Some of you are 8 years old right now. And here's Josiah, 8 years old, taking the throne. But Josiah was different from his father, and he was different from his grandfather. In fact, he was a lot more like his great-grandfather, Hezekiah. He loved and served God, and when he was a teenager, he began to seek God to find out what God wanted for his life. He asked the priests and the Levites to go back to work again, just like his great-grandfather had done. He wanted the temple to become a place where people worshiped God again. Since the people of Judah had forgotten God, they hadn't taken care of his temple. So the priests began to take care of the temple again, and when they did, one of the priests found something that was very special inside the temple. What he found was a scroll, a very old scroll that none of them had ever seen. The scroll was the book of the law. They took it to Josiah and read it aloud to him. And when he heard the words of the book of the law, he became very sad. He realized that his people had not been doing what was written in the book of the law. And he knew that what was written would come true. And what it said was that if they didn't follow God, that judgment would come. He called all the people together, and he had the book of the law read aloud to them so they all could hear the truth of God's word too. And God blessed Josiah's rule, and there was peace. Our story point for today is Hezekiah and Josiah led the people back to God. Our key verse for this section is 2 Chronicles 2:14. It says, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and heal their land." Our big idea question for this section is, how did God plan to fix what sin broke? And the answer to that question is, before he created the world, God planned to send the Messiah to save sinners. Now, kids, you might have learned the word Messiah last week when Miss Emma was talking about the prophet Isaiah, if you hadn't already learned that word. That word means the anointed one, and it's translated in different ways into different languages, and when that word is translated into Greek, it's the word Christ. So when we're talking about Messiah, we're talking about Jesus. He is the anointed one of God who came to fulfill God's law perfectly. Here's our Christ connection for today. Hezekiah and Josiah loved God and wanted to follow his commands. They wanted God's people to love God and obey the law too. When Jesus came to earth, he fulfilled the law by obeying it perfectly, and he was also our perfect king. And I have a few questions for you to consider this week while you're thinking through the lesson from today. First, why is the Bible important for knowing God? Second, how can we show we treasure God's word? And third, why is it good news that Jesus obeyed God perfectly?
Thanks, Miss Darlena. Hey kids, Miss Janna here. Good to see you again. We're going to go over today's memory verse, and it comes from Romans 10:9. So if you guys want to say it with me, we're going to go through it, okay? Okay. Because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Romans 10:9. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about this verse. There's a key word in this verse. It reminds me of last week's verse. Do you guys remember it? Did you work on trying to memorize it? It's the one that said, "For it's by grace you have been saved through faith." So our last verse talked about being saved. And I wondered, did any of you guys, when you were going through it, think, I wish I knew a little bit more about what that means? What do you think are some places to go if you don't understand what you're reading in the Bible? Well, your parents, that's a good one. Maybe your Sunday school teachers. You can always ask us. But you know what the best place is to go when you have questions about what's in the Bible? I'll give you a hint. It's not the internet. It's the Bible itself. Did you guys know that the Bible is the best way to help you interpret what's in the Bible? Apostle Paul, he wrote the book of Ephesians to the church at Ephesus, and he also wrote the book of Romans. Where do you think he wrote that one to? The church at Rome. So he wrote about these same concepts. So if we look, it says, well, how can we be saved? Well, he tells us, because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Do you guys know what this word means? What does confess mean? It means to acknowledge, or almost to vow, to say, this is the thing that I believe. And it's confessing with our mouths. What do we do with our mouths? We eat with our mouths, but we also talk with our mouths. So we say the words. We confess with our mouths. We say that Jesus is Lord. And then we also believe it in our hearts. Well, one way you can work on memorizing this verse could be to write it down. That helps me sometimes when I write things down multiple times. But you can also, instead of writing some of the words, draw some pictures to help you remember. This verse has a lot of words that might be easy to draw. So how about mouth? We could draw a little mouth. Mine's smiling here. Maybe Jesus, I could put a cross. Heart, that's an easy one. You can draw a heart. That God raised him from the dead, we will be saved. And you guys can come up with a bunch of different pictures that you can use to remember what some of these words are. So let's read through it one more time, okay? Because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Romans 10:9. And one last thought I want to leave you with. Do you know what this verse is? It's a promise of God. We will be saved if we confess with our mouths that Jesus is Lord and believe in our hearts that God raised him from the dead. And And do you know what God always does with his promises? You know it. God always keeps his promises.
Thanks, Miss Janna. Thanks for watching, kids. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.